She wanted me to buy a van for her entire family, so I had my car towed. When Nathan finally bought his dream car after years of sacrifice, he thought it would bring him peace and pride. But within weeks, it became the reason he walked away from the woman he thought he'd marry, and from a family that turned love into obligation. For as long as he could remember, Nathan had wanted one thing. Not a mansion, not a yacht, not even a six-figure job. He just wanted to own a car, a real one. One that wasn't used, falling apart, or borrowed from a cousin. For years. Nathan lived frugally in a mid-sized apartment on the outskirts of a major Asian city. Let's call it Crescent Heights. The streets were loud, traffic was chaos, and buses came when they felt like it. Nathan worked as an office administrator at a logistics company. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and eventually, it paid for the thing he wanted most. A brand new 7-seater SUV. It was silver, sleek, and smooth. The kind of car that made him feel like his years of skipping vacations and saying no to expensive dinners had finally paid off. He picked up the keys on a rainy Wednesday. That first drive home felt like flying. Nathan rolled down the windows, let the wind hit his face, and smiled so hard his cheeks hurt. The next day, did what many proud new car owners do, he showed it off. But he didn't take it to his best friend, or his mom, or even his manager. No, the very first people to ride. In Nathan's new SUV were his girlfriend April's family. April came from a huge, close-knit family. 10 people under one roof. Her parents, her 3 siblings, her older brother Dale, 2 cousins, an uncle, and an aunt who seemed permanently camped in the living room. That afternoon, Joyride turned into a full-blown day trip. They took turns riding, switching out at gas stations like it was a game. April beamed the whole time. Her dad gave unsolicited driving advice. Her mom played DJ. The cousins screamed over each other in the back. It was chaos, kind of charming. Nathan figured it was a one-time thing. He was wrong. A few days after the joyride, April's brother Dale called. "Hey man," he said, "there's a wedding out in San Cristobal. Can I borrow the SUV for the day?" Nathan hesitated. Dale promised it would be back that night. It wasn't. The car returned 2 days later with a giant scratch on the bumper. "What happened?" Nathan asked. Dale shrugged. "Probably already there." "I was careful." Nathan knew it wasn't, but he let it go. Then came the summer outing. April asked to borrow the car for a beach trip with her family. Nathan assumed he was invited. Turns out he wasn't. The car was already full. "I guess you can take the bus," she said casually. He didn't go. When they got back, her family was upset again. "You should have just bought a van," her dad muttered. Nathan stayed silent. But inside, a line had been crossed. Weeks later, April had another request. "Can my sister use your car for her wedding? It's the bridal car?" Nathan said no. He needed it that day his brother was flying in. April tried to argue. Then her entire family started calling, just for a few hours. "You're selfish. How can we get to church without it?" Nathan held firm. That night, April sat him down and said, "What if we just leave the SUV at my house? That way, you don't have to say no every time." He blinked. "You want me to park my car at your house full time? Only when you're not using it?" It wasn't a suggestion. It was a quiet demand. Nathan didn't sleep that night. The next day, he called the dealership and stopped payments. A week later, a tow truck rolled up and took the SUV away. And with it, the guilt, the noise, the pressure. For the first time in months, Nathan felt peace. When April found out the car was gone, she didn't scream. She cried. But then she asked, "So, what are you getting next, a van?" Nathan stared at her. "You think this whole mess can be fixed with a bigger vehicle?" April nodded, hopeful. "A used van. One that seats everyone. No more drama." Nathan asked the question that sealed it all. "Why hasn't your family ever thought of chipping in for their own car?" She didn't have an answer, just blinked. Nathan stood up. "I think we're done." April begged him not to leave. "You were part of this family," she said. But Nathan had heard enough. He packed up her things and walked away. Then came the knock at the door. It was April's father. "You walked away over a car," he said. Nathan shook his head. I walked away because I was treated like a tool. You'll regret this, the man muttered. Nathan replied, no. I regret not doing it sooner. Closed the door. Weeks passed, quiet, until Nathan got a text from an unknown number. Hey, I'm April's cousin Kira. What you did was messed up, but you can still fix things. Also, are you getting a new car soon? Nathan smirked. He replied, Hi, Kira. If I do get another car, it'll be a one-seater. Months passed. Nathan saved again. This time, no pressure, no expectations. He walked into a dealership and said, I want a car with 2 seats. Nothing more. He bought a matte gray coupe. No back seat. No favors. When people asked why, he smiled. You don't need a car big enough to carry people who'd never carry you back. It's been over a year since Nathan gave up the car and everything that came with it. He never looked back. The family drama? Gone. The anxiety? Gone. The constant pressure to be the nice guy? Also gone. He learned that generosity without boundaries is just self-sacrifice with a smile. And sometimes, walking away isn't weakness. It's freedom. So now I'll ask. If you were Nathan and your partner's family treated your kindness like a utility they didn't want to pay for, what would you do? Would you walk away? Would you cave in? Would you try to make peace? Let me know in the comments below, because sometimes the car isn't just a car. It's a test.